Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, it is Sunday. I have no energy right now, but I'm doing this video anyway. But what does that mean? You know what it means. Super fun Sunday, and what is it going to be? It's going to be super fun. All right, Sergio Topi. I almost didn't do this video. I'm telling you, I'm working right now, and I'm like, it's hot as hell here. But I had thought of Topi, and I thought I would share Topi. I assume now a lot of people know who Sergio Topi is. If you don't, buckle up, Buttercup, because it's going to be a wild ride. Topi is great. He's a great illustrator. He's a comic book artist. His pen and ink work is killer, very distinct style, and he's actually highly influential. Oh, the binding is coming off on this book. So, yeah, Topi is great. He's really, really good, as you will see. I don't really have too much to say. I might honestly let the art kind of do the talking itself today. But his work is really, really stylish. Very distinct, like I said. I mean, that's the one thing is his delivery is really unique and pretty easy to spot. He has a lot of these kind of collage, montage kind of style images. Really nice watercolor too. But what's great about him is he's not just an illustrator though. I mean, he did do comic books, so there's actual comic book stories that he's done. They're really, really nicely drawn. So but if you've never seen his work before, you may actually kind of spot Topiisms in some artists that you like. I'm already seeing a little Tom Coker, possibly Ashley Wood. I think it's Gerard Zaffino, Jorge Zaffino's son, probably is a fan of Topi. We used to buy these books from an old Italian guy named Tony Royale, who had a bookstore up in LA, and he would come to Comic-Con, and he was like the guy from Star Wars, that kind of fly thing that flies around in the one movie and sells stuff. Tony he was really funny because he knew we were all young artists. We were always looking for like just stuff that we hadn't seen. You know, you couldn't really like get this stuff just anywhere at the time. And he'd be like, "Hey, you wanted the Topi? Come here. Come back here. I show you. I got the Topi back here." And it was really funny, but you can get Lee Bermejo will do it too, but we both kind of have our Tony voice. Tony Raiola, that was his name, sorry. Yeah, hopefully he's still alive. He was an older guy, but yeah, he turned us on to Micheluzzi. Oh gosh, it would be hard for me to remember all the different artists, but this is just a little preview. You know how the books have kind of the preamble and kind of like little bits and pieces of stuff. I'll slow down when we get to the bigger splash pieces. As a matter of fact, let's just get there now. All right, so I'll pull them pretty tight so you can see these different inking techniques that he uses. But yeah, really, really just, he's got a great eye for value. So when he is laying down all these different textures, the style of them doesn't always necessarily affect the value, meaning the shade of gray. So it works, but then you kind of zoom in and you go, "Oh God, he uses like all these crazy like directions and because he knows his range of values doesn't really affect the drawing so much. Lots of small, like I said, we'll get into the bigger stuff in a second. Like that jacket's crazy. You can really get kind of lost in this stuff. You can see when people start to sort of get into his work. They don't always incorporate it like seamlessly into their art. But you got to try it. You know, that's the thing is you won't learn it if you don't try it. I'm more compassionate about these things now. But no, it is true. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you got to get dirty and you're going to fall before you run. That's really cool. That lady's awesome looking. But yeah, now people have it easy. You could probably go on eBay or Amazon or whatever and find these books like ASAP. We'd have to wait a year. I mean, I guess we could have called Tony, but that's too easy. No. You didn't know what he had. That's the thing, is you wouldn't have been able to see it. Really, really cool. Topi-licious. That's what we always used to say. Oh man, that's really cool. So hopefully everyone had a good week. Like I said, I'm so out of my headspace for YouTube. It was difficult. I mean, yesterday I was like, oh my God, am I really going to do a video tomorrow? This is going to be like kind of weird. So I'm super focused on my own work right now. And so it's kind of like what's going on. But I did get some really, really interesting, I got a very interesting contact, and I talked to them this morning on the phone, and something good might be happening very, very soon for me, which is going to be exciting. So we'll see how that all goes. Really nice. There's two pieces that I did before I did my black drawing pieces that you might be able to. Well, they're definitely still in my DeviantArt gallery. One is called African, and then one is a samurai piece. Well, that's crazy. See, dude, that's so trippy how that happens. I had no idea that there was going to be a samurai piece. I hadn't even, honestly, I wasn't even really looking at this. But anyway, perfect segue. But yeah, so there's two pieces I did. One was an African piece, and one was a samurai piece. And I definitely think that I was inspired by Topi in terms of, it was like kind of like a weird fusion of like Struzen and Topi I was trying to do. I really like Topi's color work, actually, quite a bit. There's not a ton of it in this book, but the little bits and pieces that I saw, there was like a ton of potential for my interest in the color on this work. I thought it looked really good. It looks great in black and white, but yeah, his color work is very cool. But you can see he kind of delves into a lot of cultures and a lot of sort of symbolism of different things and eras, and it's really cool. The little Sienkiewicz-y, which is probably just a coincidence of you know, influences that Topi may have had and influences that Sienkiewicz has. You know, it's like illustration and then the watercolor or whatever mean. That's really nice. God. Yeah, I dig the color stuff a lot. Real nice use of negative there with that white for the hair. Dude doesn't shy away from the ponies. Like I said, I think most people know Topi's work now, especially if you've been around art for a while, but you know, if you've only focused on, say, like American comics, you may not have heard of him, you know. The influence chain is always really interesting, too, because it's a lot of people aren't very, like, forthcoming with, like, who they're really looking at. So they have, like, the secret sort of influences that they don't mention because they want to really rip off their stuff. There was he's a pretty popular and successful comic book artist now, but a few years ago, he was kind of tooting his own horn quite a bit about like all these techniques, and it's like, okay, like I knew exactly who he was like kind of emulating, which is fine. It's not a bad thing, but he so wasn't giving credit where credit was due, and he was kind of making it sound like, I think he assumed that people had never seen this stuff, and it's like, figured out Topi was awesome like 15 years ago. I know you're just getting into him now, but it was kind of funny. The guy's got a big ego too, so it's like, I don't think anyone ever called him on it, but it was kind of funny. Man, really cool tree. God, that's really great. I like that face right there a lot. Boom! Look at you, little baby, in the cool art. Topi was quite prolific, too. These are fairly detailed pieces, but, you know, the great thing is there's quite a few different Topi books. I grabbed out a second one just in case, because I wasn't sure how fast we would get through this one, but, let's see. Like I said, there's not too much to really say. It's like I'm already tapped out of commentary for this guy's stuff. Art's just cool. The line work in there reminds me a bit of Serpieri. Again, I'm sure it's just incidental and it's just a way to render value, but yes, Serpieri does a lot of line work like this, and you'll see that kind of crossing over into like someone like Frank Cho's work for American comics. He will use some of his techniques on butts. That's really cool. Yeah, like that. My DeviantArt page, by the way, is under Blaster Kid, Blasterkid. I'll put a link in the description box, but I don't usually plug for these Super Fun Sundays. It's more just about the artist's work. Topi isn't with us anymore. I'm pretty sure he passed away a few years ago, but I'll still try to post some links to any sort of official site. If you want to pick up the books, I would recommend, you know, trying to support the proper, you know, I just always do that with these. I always try to make sure, oh, does that look familiar to anyone? There's a good story about that piece. I won't say more. Some people might know it. Yeah, really nice. And by the way, for people that will figure it out, like that wasn't the artist I was referring to before. There's two suckers fell into the trap of, I found an artist's work that I like, but I'm gonna assume that nobody in the world has ever seen it. You know, like it's like being in Italy and ripping off Jim Lee and not thinking that no one knows his work. It's like, uh-oh, dang, I didn't know this Hush book, like other people had seen it. Oh, this is going to be my secret archive of influential work I could. That's nice. I love when they use the white of the paper and just leave it kind of open like that, and then the detail. That's really cool. It's interesting too. Boy, he must have had a lot of like, to do all the costuming and stuff that he does in his pieces. He's must have been running the library or the museums a lot, because man, I don't know, like, you figure in the 80s or 70s drawing this stuff, you know, it wasn't like you could just like Google you know, like a certain animal skull and have it come up. So he probably collected a lot of interesting books, maybe National Geographics or something along the lines of that. And Yeah, I don't know what kind of life he led if he was a traveler. This book is, you can't read it. It's not in English, so, or well, I can't read it. Man, I love those hands. But yeah, stuff like this reminds me of, what's his name? Ralph Steadman, Sienkiewicz, maybe Ashley Wood. Like, these guys are all kind of coming at it with these exaggerated forms. It's got a little bit of photorealism, very, very stylish finish on it. Just really fun looking art. Illustration. That's cool. Could have done a really nice 300 graphic novel. Have Frank Miller write it, and then he could have drawn it back in the day. That one would be pretty neat. Something along those lines. The gun is cool. Well, I hope this is fun and something different, a little out of the box. I've got like a chunk of books that are pretty. There are a lot of my European graphic novels, but they're storytelling books. They're not really like art of books. But I've been tempted to start going through that row and showing some of those, but I knew that these Topi books kind of had more like single illustrations, so I thought it would be kind of fun to see them. Hello, monkey. The lighting on those antlers is really cool. Man, this guy could draw so good. Like I said, what is it? It's Topi-licious. Man, those guys are really cool looking. Wow. Nice. Boy, this guy drew everything. It's so crazy, my God. Those latches, or whatever you want to call those hooks, are really cool. Yeah, the decoration that he puts on all these pieces is amazing. That's so cool. It's been a long time since I've seen this book. I said, I use these Super Fun Sundays to check out stuff just like you. Like, I need this in my life. I have so many books that we can go through. It's crazy. And odds are, just heads up for people, is I'm probably only going to be doing these for the next month or two. I'm really, really just focused on my own work right now, and I'm really feeling like I just don't want any other distractions, and it's just, it'll be good. When I come back, I'll have a very fresh perspective on things, and that, like I said, the channel will benefit greatly from me going off and doing this sort of thing that I need to do. So, oh, and I'm constantly reminded of why it will be a good choice. I assure you of that. Oh, that's really cool. Excuse me, that's really cool. This is nice. Guy in a trench coat. That's almost unusual for him. This car's kind of cool. Not sure what those are. Man, that is really cool. You could see Jamie Hewlett. Jamie Hewlett probably likes this guy's stuff too. Or again, they're just kind of brothers from another mother, where it's like it's coming from the same headspace, slightly warped reality, but reality, and you tend to exaggerate the same features. It's usually long hands, like big shoes, and stretched out bodies. You know what I mean? Like it's a cool look, so it ends up being kind of a school of thought or approach to things. The hands are kind of Klimtish, or even like Egon Schiele. Dropping a lot of names, but they're well worth checking out if you haven't checked out these different people's works, because you may like them. I think John Curran is another one. His stuff isn't as stylized as this though, but really nice. Oh, good hands. Wow. Yeah, man. Dude, that's crazy. Really nice. But the necklace, I swear, I almost thought it was a photo for a second. I was like tripping out. I was like, that's really crazy. Oh, he did it here too with the dangling necklace that comes off of the panel. It's nice. So these are from the 90s. It's kind of cool. It says 97. And I'm guessing I got the book probably in like 97 or 98, honestly. So these might have been done right before the book was published. So we were getting into him in like probably right around the 97, 98. Nice boat. Oh yeah, see? This is really nice. Claire Wendling. I've actually done, I think, a couple of Open That books on Claire, but well worth checking out. You'll see some slight isms that she shares with Topi too. This piece in particular has got a little bit of a kind of Wendling like color vibe to it. She's great. These are interesting. It's cool they put them all in the back of the book. It's kind of cool. But it's interesting because the risk that you run when you pull from Topi is it's kind of style over substance. For whatever reason, although it can feel a little overkill if you look at a lot of Topi stuff, and you can get kind of overwhelmed by sort of the detail, I think, at times. And generally speaking, his pieces are very comfortable to look at, and it doesn't feel like a bunch of nonsensical stuff over the piece. Like, they just kind of look aesthetically pleasing. It's just, if you look at, 200 great pieces of his art, you might get a little sort of like sensory overload. But yeah, but it's not that easy for people to extrapolate sometimes the looks that he gets and put it into their art without having it just kind of look like you're putting lines over everything. But again, it's something that you'll have to work out over time if you ultimately feel that like he's an interesting person for you to pull from. You'll have to kind of create like a rule book or like a language that you speak with that thing. And again, it'll really be based on value, because if your values are off, it's going to look weird. Again, with these further reads, you can see how nice his values are. And then you can pull in and actually look at the detail, and then you realize that it's pretty wild directions and stuff like that. These are kind of actually a little more tame. Wasn't sure how long this video was going to be. I was originally thinking it would only be like 20 minutes, but we're so close to the end of the book. I'll just go to the end of the book. Oh, the monkey is cute. It's like, hello, ma'am. Well, what is that? Why is a monkey there? This looks like a very content iguana. I used to have a really, really big iguana that I kind of rescued from a friend of mine's little brother who was a douchebag. And it was really big and green. It was a huge lizard. Then ultimately, another friend of mine wanted to take both of my iguanas, so I gave them to him. after a few years because my band was on tour and stuff like that, and I wasn't going to be at home enough. Man, it's nice. Cool. Well, again, I hope that this was fun to look at. These are cool too. Nice. Something a little different. It's refreshing when you see him actually like kind of do like little things that are a tiny bit out of the norm. You know, really feels like, oh wow, that's cool. I haven't seen him do that yet. That's likenesses. John Wayne, Chaplin, Clint Eastwood. That's cool. Oh man, that's cool. Looks like it's maybe from photo reference. Oh, the knife is huge. Wow, that's crazy. What in the world? Here, I'll pull back so you can see it first. I'll give you the far read. Man, that is nice. Very cool. Alright, got this. Ah, E.T. and Rambo. Awesome. Well, again, I hope that was really fun to check out. Something a little different, hopefully unexpected for some people. It's always fun when I get feedback of, oh, you know, I never saw this artist's work. This is really cool. You know, it's exciting. Or maybe if you were aware of his work but didn't know the name or whatever it is, it's always nice to flip somebody onto, an exceptional artist, someone who's got a really unique vision, great drawing chops. He's a fantastic inker, great colorist. It's all win with Topi. What is it? It's Topi-licious. You're like, shut up, Rich. I hate you. Okay. Hey, Jacques Cousteau. Awesome. Okay, that was fun. All right, have a great day. I will see you guys next Sunday with another super fun Sunday. And yeah, check out more Topi. Treat yourself to a book. Okay, bye.